Hello, I'm Ed Reed, the editor of E-FWD, and I'm here today with Chris Rowell from the TVCA at just after our Tees Valley event. Chris, you're speaking on behalf, I suppose, of the sort of the mayoralty, of the sort of the net zero hopes of the region. Is there a sense that we're moving in the right direction?
I think in Teesside, it's our plan to create one of the first fully decarbonised industrial clusters, both in the UK and worldwide. That's based on carbon capture, hydrogen, and green energy. And as you can see from today's event, as you can see more widely, there's a lot of excitement about that in the UK and beyond.
And in terms of sort of what the mayoralty brings to it, right? What people looking from outside the region, how does the mayor and the sort of the combined authority help drive that sort of green agenda?
So TVCA is it's one of England's mayoral combined authorities. So we're headed by a directly elected mayor. Well, we're led by him and the cabinet, the leaders of all of our local authorities, and we've got a devolution deal, an agreement with the government with a set of powers based around economic development. That is support for skills, support for infrastructure, support for business growth, support for the creative place agenda, support for net zero. Essentially, there are a number of different things you have to get right, hard and soft infrastructure-wise, in order to enable growth. One of the cross-cutting themes for that is net zero, but particularly here in the Tees Valley, where we've got a history of energy and a history of industry, there are opportunities from new green industries and the greening of our current industries that we can unlock by getting the skills right, by making sure the transport infrastructure is in place, by making sure the digital infrastructure is in place, and by working with industry to sort of coordinate an approach to decarbonisation, all of which we're doing.
And in terms of sort of the levers that you have to sort of pull on to help sort of advance your agenda, do you have everything that you need to get what you need done? Do you need more from the government? Is it a question of funds? Is it policy? What's the ask?
Well, I think it's all of the above, but it's I think locally, as I said, it's about convening and getting industry together. We were funded via Innovate UK to be one of the UK's industrial clusters. So we did our cluster plan backed by government. We've got some great local networks, as well as access to what's the best way to put it? Sort of through national organisations and directly into government through things like the CCUS Council, where we've got a voice there, and there are government schemes backing the kind of technologies we're using here in Teesside. So you've got the cluster sequencing competition for carbon capture, you've got the hydrogen allocation rounds, you've got you've got increasing support for green energy, all of which are really, really important for the Tees Valley. I think it's our job to make sure the region's bidding successfully to do these, and it isn't just the job of the combined authority. Actually, our industrial partners lead on their projects. It's our job to help.
So looking at the future, obviously it feels like this is going to be a busy year for you guys, right? So I think SEER is due to start very shortly. The CCS project is kind of construction is getting underway this year. It must make you feel kind of more positive about the future, right? It feels after a few, bit of hard graft, you're finally seeing things pay off.
Yeah, this is CCUS has been in the works in Teesside for at least a decade and a half. Actually, it's most recently with this project, and it's great to see that it's got both the investment decision by the government and by BP and Equinor. Same with SEER. That was our first major Freeport investment. So the Teesside Freeport has tax incentives available, as well as multiple custom sites within it. So it's another tool in the Tees Valley's arsenal for attracting investment and creating jobs. So it's it is. I think though there have been some really good positive news stories recently saying things are getting off the ground. We've been talking new green jobs, industrial decarbonisation, hydrogen, carbon capture, green energy for ages. So it is great to see actually a lot of that hard work coming to fruition.
And I suppose it's that question, isn't it, about sort of first of a kind technology we heard about on the panel, the challenge of kind of getting them moving. Do you think you agree that there is just that sort of that first of a kind, sort of getting over that first hurdle that we need to do, and then that will unlock more investments?
Yeah, you can see carbon capture, for example. You've got 3 projects selected here in Teesside as part of the East Coast Cluster. You've got Net Zero Teesside Power, you've got BP's H2 Teesside, and you've got BOC's hydrogen decarbonisation project as well. Behind them, you've got at least a dozen, 15 and more carbon capture projects lined up, waiting to be part of the Track 1 extension competition. And beyond that, we've already got interest from people saying, well, we're not in that competition, but we're interested in carbon capture. How do we connect on a merchant basis? So there are, and that's being communicated through the Department of Energy Security. They've started to have those conversations. It'll be great to see how that develops, and the sooner it happens, the better for industrial clusters like the Tees Valley.
It often feels like the thing that we've got the sort of the big kind of high level plans, right? We can clean power by 2030, those kind of ideas, but it feels often like maybe the kind of the local kind of impact is less thought through, right? In terms of sort of jobs, in terms of sort of actually kind of getting communities on board. Is Tees Valley doing enough?
I would say actually locally we are well coordinated. So we've got our cluster plan for decarbonisation that shows across the sort of 60-ish companies at any one time in our industrial cluster, we need about £10 billion of private sector investment between now and 2040. But if we get it right, we get full support for carbon capture, hydrogen, and the clean energies we need, then we may create up to 30,000 new green jobs in the Tees Valley, both directly and in supply chains and through an induced effect. But also, we might see $2 billion a year added to our region's GVA, and a GVA of $13 billion a year at the moment. That would be a sort of step change in our economic fortunes. Yeah. So we are organised at a local level, and I think the other clusters have done the same. We're also working now on our local growth plan, so our region's response to the government's industrial strategy. So we're saying, actually, our modern industrial cluster with all of these technologies is where growth sits here in the Tees Valley, and a number of other areas of growth as well. But this is our offer to work with you within your national priorities on delivering green energy, on delivering green jobs, and helping to make Britain a country that makes things again.
I think the green jobs is a really interesting part, right? I think in terms of sort of how government, local government, industry all kind of come together to kind of play a part in creating these jobs and sort of seeing them through from sort of teenagers into like a job for life.
Yeah, I think there are people who are going to reskill as part of the energy transition. There are people who are going to enter the workforce, and hopefully here in Teesside, through investments like the Net Zero Industrial Scholarship you've seen BP launch with the colleges recently. You can see there are industries investing in getting those young people into these opportunities, and there's an open invitation from the Combined Authority to work with any other industrial that wants to go down the same route and sponsor that kind of program.
And are there any projects you can see coming down the line that particularly tickle your interest?
I think we've got, as I said, a number of different CCUS projects lined up. We've got 4 gigawatts of the government's 10 gigawatt hydrogen production target announced here in the Tees Valley. I think being in the public sector, it's a bit like being on the BBC. I can't say I'm going to pick that one or that one. But there are a load of both large and small, amazing projects here in the Tees Valley. And I think one of the areas of infrastructure we've supported is innovation as well. So we helped build the Net Zero Industry Innovation Centre at Teesside University, as well as a number of other pieces of innovation infrastructure across a number of different sectors. But that Net Zero Centre and the engineering hall that we helped to support next to it, a partnership between Teesside University and TWI, they provide the space companies need to develop those sort of high-risk new technologies, getting them through the mid-TRL level. So we've got loads of great technologies coming out of universities nationally and internationally. Teesside University here is providing that space through that technological valley of death, the TRLs 3 through 7, saying we've got a lab for hydrogen, we've got a lab for carbon capture, we've got a lab for sustainability. Come here, work with us, and then the offer is, well, if you've grown your technology here in Teesside now, work with the authority and the various landowners and the industrial cluster as a whole to grow your business here as well.
Perfect. Chris, thank you very much.